As the wind erodes and the water corrodes, altering everything we think we know, but we don't. It's all temporary, and it used to, but now the thought doesn't scare me or keep my feet from following one after another until I slumber. Then my mind, not my feet, wander and dream of people and places I'll never see again. I've mended as much mental anguish as I can, and now I try to use this language to take these thoughts from my head to my pen. Cause though I don't speak of my dead friends or the circumstances, often the blow never softens or yields. I'm in a desolate field, lonesome stargazing, night blazing, chasing traces of remembrance and reverence of relevant friends and acquaintances, and faceless and nameless names and faces. And while my mind is racing through these photo albums and quotations, all these people and places far from me, for only land and stars I see when I'm outside of the Mile High City, which is not my city, for I was born 1,000 miles northeast of there in the land of beer and lakes and pistol fire on MLK's birthday, where there is no minorities and segregation's mandatory. But that's a whole nother story altogether, and no matter the weather or hardships that any place brings, I'll still laugh when people shiver and say it's freezing, or say, hey, no, wait, I already had 18 mixed drinks, but I guess it's a Midwest thing, and I'm a mess from a dirty city and brought most of this filth I've gathered with me.
Negativity gets you nowhere, and that's what we're going to be talking about today on Experience Andy Weins Live, how language, down to the simplest word within each sentence, will empower you to take on your goals, live out your dreams and aspirations in 2024 and beyond. Coming up after the verse.
My work labors on as lovers sleep in each other's arms, remaining calm and collect. I begin my self-reflection process of redemption. Honestly, I don't know where this road leads, or if I'm even going. Could be rowing upstream, or worse, chasing my dreams to the peak, to finally be somebody doing something with what I have, rather than saying again and again that I can't and I won't anymore from this day forward. Cause Lord knows the past is set in stone, the present is yours to mold and to use for future uses. I know I'm a nuisance, I'm told, cause I'm neither young nor old, nor giant nor gnome. I don't sleep on these streets usually, though I've made thrones of my own. I don't sit well with idle hands, though don't know what to do when I'm home all alone. I'm a menace thrown from society, and as it lies to me, I'll smile silently as others do as they please. I am watching and listening, and I'm grinning all the while, cause sometimes all you can really do is smile. So as the work labors on, I'll keep on singing my songs, and this day is never done. We just keep on spinning around that sun, and well, through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.
Welcome to episode 18 of Experience Andy Weins Live. And today we'll start off and talk about why negativity gets you nowhere. First, let's talk about gratitude. Gratitude is the way I like to start all of these shows because it gives me an opportunity to think of what am I grateful for? Who are the people that I am grateful for in this world? And it really puts me in a great place because I want to practice more gratitude. And by being intentional, and not only do I practice it during this show, I also share with others, and it'll give us an opportunity for those that I meet in the real world to talk about it, why certain people and things motivate me. And so to this week, I am grateful, and I'm going to share my gratitude for my siblings. For some of you that may know, this song that we open the show with, the Thinking Song, was written by my brother Tyler, and he's an artist, and he talks at the end there that all we can do is smile. And over the weekend, I spent time with my siblings for my brother's birthday. And I'm grateful because in all three of my siblings, they have their own way of seeing the world and living the world. And there's aspects to all of them that are within my ideals. And so seeing how they navigate this world and navigate some of the same opportunities we all have together, I'm grateful for seeing how they navigate things and my ability to take what also fits my values and apply it to myself. So I'm grateful for my siblings, grateful for my family this week. Second order of business, we got to do business every now and then. Words fucking matter. Available on Amazon. Also, you can sign up for my blog. Shoot me an email. That's it. Andy Weins at greenupsolutions.org. We will find a way to get you that blog weekly. Basically takes what we talk about here today and boils it down and puts it out in the written form to be shared with the masses. Other order of business, we got two pieces of business this week. Camo Crew, we are hiring. We are bringing on staff as we're ramping up for the spring season. So reach out, take a look at our website, www.camocrew.us, to see what opportunities we have within these four walls to go out and make a difference in our community every day. Now let's get to the show. Negativity gets you nowhere. I talk about this in the book. I talk about this in the anti-glossary, the list of shit words that do not serve. I can't, I won't, I don't. These are non-starting statements. These do not give you credit for what you want out of this world. Often I hear people tell me about what they want, and what they want are often results. I use losing weight as an example because we all have a vessel. We all have, I'm taking these off. We all have a vessel we go through this world with that when we take care of it, our lives are better. When we are in good physical health, we sleep better. When we sleep better, we have more mental clarity. We live longer. We study better. We learn more. Our relationships are better, right? There's all these attributes to whatever, physical health. So I often use physical health, like losing weight, gaining muscle, going to the gym, whatever, as an analogy, because it's one thing we all have. We all have a body that we need to service. And what I hear often people talk about is they talk about what they want, their desires or their goals, and they're very clear on those things in the results. And then once you transition to, okay, what are the actions to get there? Then all of a sudden the negativity boils up. Then it's, well, I won't stop eating that, or I don't like that gym, or I can't work out at that time. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, you have this result, optimistic, positive, good for you. And yet when we boil it down to the actions, the things that we can control, now all of a sudden you're negative. And this also happens with people's values and beliefs. They feel a certain way about something. They'll say, well, I'm a very loyal person. And yet you'll say, well, why'd you say that thing about that person behind their back? Why do you have this misalignment in your life? And then they'll justify, well, that's not what I really meant. What do you mean? You didn't really mean it. Well, hold on. What did you mean? And then once you start peeling back these layers, you can say, okay, do your activities and actions line up with their goals and aspirations? And often people use negative language to disqualify behaviors they did or did not do that do or do not align with their goals, values, beliefs, aspirations. And that's a lot to stomach. And listen to what people say. They want these things, yet they're not willing to put the work in. They want to be a person of value, and yet they don't live a life of values, and they use bullshit excuses to justify their existence. And then listen to other people, the people I look up to, the Elon Musks of the world, right? When he's faced with adversity, he says, fuck you to the people pushing down on him. He doesn't dance around it. He bought Twitter. He fired 80% of the employees because they did not serve the direction Twitter was going. He didn't have a misalignment of values. They said, oh, you lost a bunch of money. He goes, money's no object. His value was not money. His value was free speech, and his actions aligned with his vision. And he did not have to make any excuses for his activity, his behavior, his being. He was very clear on this. You'll see this with politicians too. Run for office on a certain ideology or with the idea of getting certain legislation passed. And then when they pass it, they're very boastful. I said I was going to do that. And then when they don't pass it, they'll explain why they couldn't. Say, well, hold on, you said you were going to, and yet your values alignment didn't happen there. And you use language with can't, won't, don't, and all you're doing is pushing blame on others. let's break it down to your simple life. What are your goals? What can you do? What will you do? That way, you invite people into your conversation. It takes this thing called vulnerability to get there. It's very simple to have a negative comparison. Think about and look out the world of all the things you don't want and talk, well, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that. Well, what do you want? And often people, that's where they get stumped. One of my favorite movies of all time, Good Will Hunting. Will Hunting, for anyone that's not seen it, I don't know anybody that hasn't seen it, but anyway, Will Hunting, whiz kid, played by Matt Damon, is sitting there and he can recite everything there is. And finally, Robin Williams' character, who was the psychologist who was working with him, finally said, well, what do you want out of this world? And he has no answer. And Robin Williams said something to the effect of, you have a bullshit answer for everybody, but when I ask you, what do you want? You have no clue. Because he had a lack of vulnerability. It's the same people that say, hey, I want to lose weight, goal. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I don't want to give up this food, and I can't go to the gym at this time, and I don't do push-ups. Okay, well, what can you do? And then they have to admit, well, I can only walk a quarter mile. Well, do that. I can only stand for 10 minutes at a time. Do that. Well, I can't cut out all this fast food. Cool. What can you do? Can you eat one meal a week that is healthy? Do that. And then all of a sudden, this mountain of shit that is normally on top of them starts to wither away because we're chipping away at it. If you're 100 pounds overweight, I don't expect you to go out and run a marathon this weekend or eat nothing but clean salads for for a month straight. No, what can you do? One meal, 1 mile is a hell of a lot better than 500 excuses of bullshit. And not all of us need to lose 100 pounds. Not all of us have this monumental thing like taking on Twitter in our lives. Yet, I would argue we all have a goal. We all have a value or an aspiration, something we're striving for, whether concrete or an ideal. And yet, we'll make justifications in our head consistently to not get towards that goal. And I'm no different. I talk about wanting to be a successful business owner. I talk about wanting to seize the day, carpe diem, another great Robin Williams movie there. And yet I sleep in on the weekends and I eat like crap sometimes. And I played computer games yesterday instead of working on work, right? That's what I did. And so do I sit there and justify it and use this can't, won't, don't mentality? Or do I reframe my language and say, okay, I took advantage of rest and digest this weekend. What I needed was to rest. Now I can compartmentalize, say, start, stop, continue. I can say, okay, this is what I chose to do. I chose to play video games. Yes, that was not in alignment with the greater good. I did not get that extra hour in of cold calling or writing reports. And now what am I going to do? It's a way to be honest with yourself. Give yourself the grace. And yet, we're not talking about what I didn't do. We're not talking about what I can't do. We're not going to talk about the past of what did or did not occur. We are going to set ourselves up for success in the moment and talk about what can we do in the future. When you start talking to yourself and others like that, you become a present and future-focused individual versus an individual that lives in the past or an individual that lives in this fantasy world wherein you're going to get the results without putting in the work. One of my favorite lines of all time I heard from somebody was that work will always come before the reward, except for the dictionary. And when you put in the work in your language and in your actions, then and only then do you reap the rewards of life. My challenge to you is simple. Up until these couple of weeks, we've been building things. We talked about our BHAG. We've done our goals. We've looked at our schedule. I want you to be very conscious this week in your language. Look to see when you say, I can't, I won't, I don't. What are things you are avoiding? You got a couple options here. Either delegate that thing to somebody else, automate it so that it takes down less resources, or eliminate it. I've seen people with something on their calendar where they just keep moving it and moving it and moving it and moving it. And every time they move it, they die a little bit inside. Every time they see it, they get a little more anxious. And at no point do they actually ever slay that dragon. Take the dragon off. Find something else you can do. Jordan Peterson, famous for saying, you want to clean up your life, start with your sock drawer. Focus on what you can do versus what you can't do. I don't care if it gets down to a sock drawer to get your shit together. Focus your energy on what you can do this week So next week, Monday, when we join you, you have something to celebrate because we're talking about what you will do, what you can do, all the positive momentum. It starts with your language. Tell yourself, tell your others what you can do, what you will do, and what you have done and will continue to do to live the life you want. It all goes in my 3 steps for success in life, which, as we know, do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world. And each and every day, show the fuck up. We'll see you next week.
Through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.